to the Downtown Madison Happenings podcast, where we hear from our members and learn something new about downtown Madison. This podcast is brought to you by American Family Insurance. American Family opened its first offices in downtown Madison in 1927, and its downtown presence continues today with the Spark Building, which is home to American Family Insurance Institute for Corporate and Social Impact and the Dream Bank, an inspirational community space. Still based in Madison, the company's mission is to inspire, protect, and restore dreams through exceptional products, service, and community partners. Speaking of longtime champions of downtown, like our new sponsor, American Family Insurance, thank you to American Family. We are proud to welcome the 4th District Alder for the City of Madison Common Council, Mike Verveer, here today to talk about development and everything that's happening downtown. And boy, is there a lot to talk about. Alder Verveer, how are you today?
I'm great, Jason. Thanks so much for having me. And
we're excited.
Thanks to our brand new sponsor. I'm honored to be on the inaugural AmFam sponsored podcast.
You are the first and ever in I hope a long relationship between DMI and our friends at American Family. All right, Alder Verveer, our friend, good friend and producer Madeline and I just walked down State Street, and it's amazing to see all of the development happening downtown. We'd love to get an update of everything that's happening. Let's start with the 300 block, one of the biggest projects happened in downtown in years. What's the status and what is the project happening on the 300 block with our friends at Core Campus?
Well, you certainly got that right in terms of the unprecedented amount of development, either projects in the ground or projects that are in various stages of the entitlement process. The most monumental of all, as you say, is absolutely the Core Spaces student housing oriented project that's going to begin rising someday soon at the 300 block of State Street. So that's a real significant project in so many ways. First and foremost, the density. There will be approximately a little over 1,100 beds in that building when it opens in 2 years. One of the most exciting parts about that, as you're aware, is the fact that we worked out a deal with Core Spaces for a deed restriction, a land use agreement that requires that 10% of those beds remain low cost for future tenants. So that was really thrilling to be able to do that. And we did that in return for the increased height that we allowed at that site. That project also, I will clearly share, is the impetus for creating a brand new State Street Tax Incremental Finance District. So what we believe will be now called TID, Tax Incremental District 50, is a proposal that we'll be introducing in June at the City Council that should be approved certainly within the summer to create a State Street TIF district, something that we haven't had for several years now. That, as you know, is such a powerful tool that will aid us in the recovery of downtown, will aid us in the further renaissance of the downtown, recovering from the pandemic and beyond. It'll be the main driver to help us fund the new Lake Street parking garage and intercity bus terminal that we plan to include in that new public-private partnership that we believe we will be able to have with Mortensen Development, where negotiations have just begun with them to build housing above the new parking garage and bus depot there. So the parking utilities contribution to that project will largely come from the TIF district, we believe, over time. So in so many respects, this really key project in the heart of Greater State Street is going to aid, I believe, all of the Greater State Street area through the power of the TIF, and of course bringing annually 1,100 new residents literally on the front door of State Street that will help with State Street's vibrancy, to be sure.
Absolutely. And, a successful downtown means a lot of residents, right? It has to be a multi-use downtown, a lot of residents, a lot of office workers and workers working in different fields, a lot of tourists, and a lot of visitors, and projects like that make a difference. Let's talk a little bit more about tax increment districts. There's a lot of activity aside from the aforementioned TID 50 on State Street. There's also the amendment happening on TID 45, the expansion off of the western side of the square, and then also a new TID on West Washington Avenue and on Regent Street, TID 48. Why is it so important that we're building these TIDs now? What kind of projects are we going to see coming out of TIDs like the expanded 45 and 48 on Regent Street?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I've learned to become a big booster of TIF within a few weeks of me taking office, back in the dark ages. And I have seen the success of TIF time and time again throughout the downtown landscape. And so for your viewers' benefit, the Regent Street TIF district was created last year. It goes all the way as close to the square, actually, as up West Washington Avenue to Bassett Street and West Wash, and includes much of the Park, Regent, West Wash corridor. It will aid, as is always the case, with public improvements. For example, having a new public improvements in the Triangle in conjunction with the Bayview Community Foundation's very exciting project that's rising now on that block, and it's taking advantage of so much development that's occurred both on West Wash and Regent Street. Of course, the relatively new Hilton Garden Inn on the 700 block of Regent Street, the student housing oriented development that has just now cleared all of the public entitlement process, and also in the parking lot of the Alexander Company there that will be right across the southwest path from the Cole Center. Those developments, among others, will help supply funding to make public improvements in this area for really decades to come, including the possibility of development loans to assist in future development. As you know, since you're the leader of our group that gets together regarding the Regent Street corridor, it really can lead to some exciting improvements to the Regent Street streetscape. In terms of the Capitol Square West TIF district, which TIF 45, as you mentioned, Jason, that one is proposed to be extended also in June when we create the State Street TIF district. We'll be introducing a boundary and project plan amendment to move that district to include the West Wilson Street corridor, not the East Wilson Street corridor. I'll get to that in a moment, but the West Wilson Street corridor. My main motivation in proposing that was, frankly, to find the funds to bury underground utility wires in conjunction with the reconstruction of Broome and Wilson Street next summer. But beyond that, we are certainly very likely to see a proposal by the future developer of 131 West Wilson, most affectionately known as the Pisons building, to likely seek city support for the $5 million estimated cost of demolishing that building that obviously has some pretty significant structural issues, to say the least. In addition, that expanded TIF district, we believe, will also help us fund stormwater improvements when we do have rain events. There is some significant runoff that extends in the Wilson Street corridor and those dead-end streets into the rail corridor and John Nolan Drive. And so the TIF district will help with that support as well financially. I proposed, in the city's TIF staff team has conditionally agreed to next year look very seriously and study the idea of creating an East Wilson Street corridor TIF district that would take advantage of the unprecedented development that's proposed in that corridor, as well as help us in public works improvements as Judge Doyle Square is being finalized. So some of the last remaining streets that haven't been reconstructed downtown over the last many years are those surrounding Judge Doyle Square, because we've held off waiting for that construction to be finalized. And obviously there's light at the end of that tunnel, to be sure, as well. So there's a lot of exciting potential future funding available to help downtown through the progress that we're hoping to have with TIF over the coming years.
It's exciting to see what's happening, particularly on the East Wilson and potentially a TID there. There are some pretty dynamic public projects that could happen, including the Crowley Station project with a really great placemaking project that many in our community, Emily DeVore and Bert Stitt and Julie Wagner and the team from CNI are putting together, and also the Lake Monona Waterfront project, right? A project that's very close to your heart. You helped appropriate $500,000 to kick this off several years ago, and now to see 14 firms, worldwide firms, come in and want to submit their qualifications and want to be part of this larger challenge of redefining and reimagining and revisioning what can happen with the Lake Monona Waterfront from the Machinery Row all the way through to Olin Park is really exciting. And it's a great way to see that feed in. I want to get to a question on Wilson Street, though, because I think it really talks about the overall development that's happening downtown. DMI runs a development tracker, and we have about 3,500 apartment units and about over 600 hotel rooms that are in the system right now that are either in public meetings, in the entitlement process, in pre-construction, in construction, or just recently constructed, just in the downtown and the Isthmus. Not all of that within your district, but a lot of it is, and in particular Wilson Street, where I think it's just some unbelievable change that you're going to see, this positive change on Wilson Street. We count about 1,500 units just in downtown alone. Talk about that, the project that First Martin and Quad Capital Partners are doing, the two Judge Doyle Square projects with both the hotel and the apartment building, and then the aforementioned projects on West Wilson. Have you ever seen growth like this on one street in your time, in your 27 years as Alder?
No, absolutely not. It's quite unbelievable. And it's obviously thrilling to see so much investment from so many different quarters pouring into this relatively small few block area downtown. I think in part that's because of the great location, to be sure, the lake, taking advantage of the lake views, the fact that these properties are available today. But it's something that I've certainly never experienced in such a short period of time, to have so many development proposals. Obviously, these developers, which are local, regional, and national developers, have all studied our market quite seriously and in a very comprehensive way, and they've all determined what we already know here, that downtown is the place to be and everybody wants to be downtown, and they're responding to the market. The MG&E rental vacancy surveys show that our vacancy rate downtown for apartments is anemic, and so this continual increase in density downtown is not only a good thing, but it really is desperately needed to respond to the market. I know you and I, Jason, have talked recently about the issues that some of our greatest corporate citizens in our community are having challenges recruiting their talent because of the shortage of housing in the places where those workers want to live, which namely is downtown Madison in so many cases. So I'm very bullish on the future of downtown housing development. I'm a cheerleader for it. I always have been, and I always will be. Of course, we have to do it right. We, as you know, have a very, I believe, sincere effort by downtown stakeholders to work with development teams to improve their projects as they go through the process. And I think in all cases it works well for all parties, and that's my expectation here. But it is absolutely incomparable, the amount of development just in these couple of blocks of Wilson Street, from the Rubens adaptive reuse into a hotel by North Central Group, all the way down to Broome and Wilson with Bear Development from Kenosha proposing their first ever City of Madison development for an affordable housing project at the site of the current American Academy of Cosmetic Dentistry. So just in that whole, that length of Wilson Street, we see, all sorts of variety of development, and the investment is just phenomenal. And absolutely, I think that the Lake Monona waterfront potential for accessing in such a easier way our lakeshore there will only increase the interest of folks wanting to live in this corridor. It is absolutely wonderful that we have so many highly qualified firms from all over the country that have expressed their interest formally, as you say, 14 of them recently that want to propose very detailed plans for this area for Machinery Road, Olin Park. Something that you and others have been working on for many, many years is finally coming into place. And the pieces are there. The city council at our recent meeting just filled the ranks of the ad hoc committee that will be acting as a jury to narrow down, making the very tough decision to narrow down from these 14 super qualified firms, down to 3 that will then be given enough time and money to develop very detailed plans, which, of course, we're all waiting to see what those possibilities are. There's just so much to offer. And as I've told people, this isn't like pie in the sky and, nothing's going to happen until we can secure funding. We, absolutely, although it might not be the crown jewel of this area we're studying, the fact that we have federal funding in hand to replace the John Nolan Drive Causeway, and that project is firmly going to occur in 2026. In fact, I just had a conversation with some of our city engineers who said it might even advance 1 year to 2025 potentially, but at a minimum 2026. And so with the Lake Monona waterfront plan in hand, we will be able to educate us and guide us as we rebuild the John Nolan Drive Causeway to expand the ever popular Capital City Trail to make it safer and even more attractive than it already is, which is practically traffic jams on beautiful days like we're experiencing this week. So there's just so much excitement going on in downtown right now. It really almost makes it think that the awful year of 2020 that we had with civil unrest and the pandemic is just so far in the rearview mirrors at this point.
Yeah, it's really exciting to see all of these things happening together and to see some of the private development incorporating what potentially could happen with the Lake Monona waterfront. We've seen that with the McGrath project and the easement next to their building, and then also the great knockout that the folks at First Martin and Quad Capital Partners have in their building in a beautiful space that they're trying to build. Let's get into affordable housing quickly here. A subject important to everyone, in particular to organizations like ours, and to me personally, as someone that used to work in hospitality. You have to make sure that the people that work in hospitality have a place to live downtown. We've seen several new projects of those 3,500 apartment units that are dedicated to affordable housing, namely the Bear Project, which you talked about on Wilson Street. You've got the Wisconsin Housing Preservation Corporation's proposal on the Madison College site. You have also the St. John's Lutheran and ULI project on East Washington. It's not in your district, but it's very close. How much more are we seeing in affordable housing, and are you feeling good about the more stock that we're able to build that is affordable for all of our members in our community?
Yeah, very, very much so. Jason, because you faithfully attend all of our Capital Neighborhoods Executive Council meetings, that affordable housing has been a top concern for downtown neighborhood activists, as well as really throughout all the neighborhood associations on the Isthmus. And we are finally seeing some progress in that area. It's been a huge frustration to me personally over the years when we see all of these really exciting development proposals. Literally, sometimes I feel like I hear from a new developer every week for some time, some period of time, which obviously I welcome very much those calls and emails. But the one disappointment throughout has largely always been that they're all market rate. Everything downtown is market rate. I've always been told that the extraordinary land costs downtown, of course, not to mention the premium on construction downtown, given the tight constraints, is largely the reason why everything is market rate downtown, with few exceptions. So the tide has turned, as I mentioned at the top of our conversation, the fact that we were able to negotiate with Core Spaces for 10% of the beds at their new Olive Madison project at 300 State Street will be low cost. I don't know if you define everything as affordable there, but anyway, low cost / affordable housing. And then the ones you just articulated with Bear Development and WHPC and ULI at the St. John's location, Lutheran Social Services, are all just phenomenal to see those proposals all out there currently. All the ones that I just articulated, say for the one that's under construction on State Street, all very much have a ways to go in terms of the entitlement process in City Hall. But I'm very confident that all of them can and will be approved. They're able to use the financial tools provided by federal, state, and local governments. Frankly, the city and county have ponied up and made available more affordable housing funds in the last few years than ever before, and that helps a lot. For example, the WHPC proposal for the site of the former downtown campus of MATC is largely banking on being awarded city affordable housing funds in the coming month or so. And so, I just can't think of a more prominent location on Wisconsin Avenue, after all, to have a high-rise development of largely affordable housing. Not completely, because certainly they're proposing some market rate housing there, but that'll be just so much of a relief to have that block that has literally sat in ruins since the workforce was told to walk off the job site when the pandemic came to our community over 2 years ago now, to have a development again occurring there. And then the plan, of course, as well, would be to use historic tax credits to complete the other part of that block that Dreary Southwest had proposed to do as a hotel. And so whether it be a hotel or housing, the plan would be to not lose the fact that they've already gone through the process to have that site designated as a national register landmark, and that the tax credits are available to a developer to take that on, assuming that Dreary is not interested in proceeding, which it looks like they aren't.
It's great to see all this development, and particularly on the affordable side. I certainly want to mention our great friends at the Bayview Foundation, who are doing amazing work in the Triangle, and then Ann Morrison and the team at New Development with the CDA. So some really great projects happening on the west side of downtown. All right, we got just a couple seconds left here, but I wanted to get a nod to another kind of development we're seeing really progress nicely is in hotels, hotel rooms being built. Alder Verveer, longtime member of the Room Tax Commission, Monona Terrace Board, tourism. He understands the power, and we're so thankful for that. We've seen several projects, including the Embassy Suites Hotel right in your district, the Moxie by North Central, the aforementioned Wilson Street Boutique Hotel that North Central is building, and then another smaller project on East Mifflin, 55-unit longer-term stay project. How heartening is it for you that we're starting to see hotels coming back in? And what do you think that means for tourism downtown in the next few years?
It's unbelievable. Obviously, I know that being a former hotelier, that this is near and dear to your heart, to be sure, Jason. And I can't tell you how many times I heard at that groundbreaking that you and I both attended a few weeks ago at Monona Terrace for the Judge Doyle Square Embassy Suites Hotel, talking to these out of town folks from Hilton and from Apple Hospitality, Mortensen Development, the partners in that the city has, that this is, they can kind of count on one hand how many hotel projects they are currently working on across the country due to the pandemic. And the fact that little old Madison, which isn't little old anymore, is attracting so much investment in terms of the lodging sector is just, it almost leaves me speechless. Like, how are we so worthy that hotel development has supposedly screeched to a halt largely around the country due to COVID. And then here we are with so many hotel developments that either were completed during COVID, are underway as we speak, in terms of certainly the groundbreaking that we attended a few weeks ago together, and then those that are in the pipeline. It's just so wonderful to have that kind of health and vitality of our downtown, that has measured by these industry experts that believe it's not a matter of if but when these keys will be used regularly by folks visiting our community, and so as a room tax commissioner, as you said, we are counting on that revenue rebounding, and it has exceeded our expectations. We have forecast very conservatively coming out of the pandemic, if I could say coming out of the pandemic, what our room tax collections would be. And we have exceeded our forecast, our expectations the last few quarters. And so, thanks to our friends at Destination Madison and so many others in the industry that are working hard to bring people back to our community, I really am excited about the potential, the future there, but because, not only because the room tax revenue is critical to the city and the organizations we fund, like specifically Destination Madison, Monona Terrace, and the Overture Center, the big three, but the fact that so many people want to be downtown, and meeting planners are starting to book Monona Terrace and other venues again, out for the next several years. So that part of it is really thrilling too.
As a former hospitalitarian, which I really don't think is a term, it's really great to see all this happening here downtown. And I think it bodes well. And a huge cheers to our mutual friend, Allie Westman Chin, and the team at Destination Madison for all they're doing. Those were the easy questions. Are you ready for the hard questions? The Fast and Furious.
The Fast and Furious 5.
Here we go.
I've been losing sleep over this. You're trying to create enemies for me.
That's unfortunate. I feel badly about that. Isn't it the normal city council meetings that's causing you to lose sleep since you got until 4 a.m?
Yeah, the most recent one was an early night for us. We only went till midnight most recently.
Oh, perfect. Full night's sleep. I was in bed for 2 hours probably by that point. How old I am. I have a glass of Sanka and go to bed at 9:30. All right. What is your favorite, most proud downtown memory in your 27 years as Alder?
Oh my goodness. I knew you were going to stump me. There are so many things that I'm proud of. I'm sitting at my dining room table and I can just look out of the corner of my eye at my collection of hard hats, for example, of which I have a few dozen. But I have to say that the one accomplishment that I received the most thanks for, and continue to this day, believe it or not, is something that you never would think of. And that is creating a railroad quiet zone through the downtown, because it affects the quality of life. Speaking of sleeping, I used to get calls in the middle of the night from people, saying a train woke me up. And so when we were able to accomplish that many years ago, it really changed the quality of life for people overnight by not having those train horns blowing. And that's what I believe it or not, I think has been my greatest contribution to the quality of life of downtown stakeholders over the years.
Well, I couldn't agree. I was a longtime downtown resident myself, and that had already happened. And it makes a big difference. If you don't have sleep, what do you have? All right.
It absolutely does. And with the hairball intersection at Blair and Willie and Wilson, that will be the final quiet zone that we install downtown. So the folks on that side of downtown will have relief as well.
All right. Why is downtown home for you in one sentence?
It offers everything and anything you could ask for.
Favorite downtown memory? You told me I couldn't ask specific questions about your favorites of different things, so then I just upped the volume and made them even harder. But you don't have to choose between your constituents.
That's true, and I really appreciate that. I was expecting some softballs like favorite color and favorite Babcock ice cream, which I'm used to as a longtime faithful viewer. Anyway, no, thank you so much for not asking me to name my favorite downtown restaurant, because that would have been a killer for me. No, I have so many great memories downtown. This is going to sound corny, I admit, and it'll show my partisan stripes, and it's kind of an odd one to think about at this moment, because the election didn't work out. But being on stage when John Kerry had a campaign rally on West Washington Avenue at Bassett Street, and all of the advance team folks saying this is our biggest and best rally we've had in the entire campaign, and being all over national television and so forth, with that crowd shot of tens of thousands of people between the stage at Bassett Street and the Capitol Square, and how gorgeous it was, and the trees were at peak fall colors. And I was the one that suggested that site.
That is a great memory and a great suggestion. All right, we got 2 more Fast and Furious questions.
And I'm not going very fast, admittedly.
No, that's okay. That's okay. The next 2 will be faster. What's the one thing you still want to accomplish that you have not accomplished?
Oh, I have a long list here. One, though.
Just one. Just one. Oh my goodness. Because
I literally have a list here that I try to keep. No, yeah. I would say that the Lake Monona waterfront that we already mentioned is such a wonderful dream that I actually think is within reach, and more than just a dream, thanks to the good work of you and so many others over the last many years, that we are inching closer and closer to that reality.
I think you're right. That's due to you, though. Let's be very clear. You're the one that set this ball rolling. I mean, honestly, John Nolan, I guess, set the ball rolling, and then the Ho-Chunk Nation, they've understood how important this land is. They've been here for 13,000 years. That tells you something about the importance. And let's make this a special place for everyone, a place where everyone in our community is proud of. All right, here's your softball. What's your favorite Babcock ice cream flavor?
I was hoping you'd offer this one, because I actually thought about it again, because this is your usual go-to Fast and Furious 5 question. And in honor of Becky Blank leaving us in a few weeks, I think it is absolutely appropriate and fitting to say that the Becky lime pie ice cream is my favorite. But I have to confess and be honest that the foundation of my freshman 15 that I gained here decades ago was thanks to the orange custard chocolate chip ice cream, which always was my go-to as a student here, and it still shows on my waistline today.
2 great answers. I have not heard from anyone. I've asked Margaret, the head of the union, if they're going to keep the Becky lime flavor, even though she's no longer with it. I hope they do, because that is also.
I do too. It is delicious. I'm not just
so good. And it's only around every once in a while. It's so good. Alder, Mike Verveer, thank you from all of us in downtown and from DMI for your stewardship, your creativity, your innovation, your hard work to make downtown a vibrant and equitable place that it is today. I know we have a lot of work left to accomplish, but we're excited to do it with you. We're also excited about our new partner here on the Downtown Happenings podcast, American Family Insurance, a true institution in downtown Madison. Alder, Mike Verveer, thank you so much for all you do for downtown. We'll see all of you next soon for our next podcast. We have a great day now.